get into some predictions.
Yeah.
We've made it very clear that it's difficult. And we've got a load of different categories, and we're going to go through them right now. And we're going to kick off. Do you know what? We'll go back to European Outsider, because just whilst we've touched on Man City, let's kick off with an easy one. Top scorer. Just because I put it out on Twitter and different places, the consensus was incredibly clear. Obviously, it's Erling Haaland.
But is it easy, though? I don't know. Do you think it's easy?
I think it's easy just because you can say that Haaland's not going to score as many, but who's going to score more? Yeah. You know what I mean? That's the other side to it.
Yeah.
It's like they're flipping all the Portugal hate and Ronaldo hate, where it says Ronaldo shouldn't be playing, but nobody can make the case for Gonçalo Ramos to start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's definitely not him, but I don't know about this guy.
I think everyone else as well in this list just depends on how well their team does, right? And it just feels
it's
like...
It's the variable issue,
isn't
it? Yeah.
Haaland is going to score if City are bad, regardless, right? Yeah. Whereas, if Liverpool aren't as good, is Isak going to be up there? Probably not.
So let me run through the nominees, and you guys put forward who you think it would be. Haaland, Isak, Igor Thiago, João Pedro, Ollie Watkins, Victor Gyökeres, and some outsiders, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and Igor Jesus, who's got 4 and 6 in pre-season. He's looking good. I'm impressed with that. I mean, he was sort of Premier League. I hate this phrase, but I'm about to say it. Coded when he came, but I didn't think he'd do as well as he did kind of last year. And it looks like he's going to. I think he'll do really well under Glasner. I think there's a lot of variables knocking about here, and so even when I was doing my predictions with Man City, if you want to kind of what I often do is I go, can Man City finish 4th? How do I work that? And I just kept struggling to get them any lower than second due to Erling Haaland in particular, because there is just an absolute guarantee of 20 goals, surely. How do you feel about Alexander Isak this season?
So-so. I think I've heard rumours about him having quite a bad groin injury and stuff, which could flare up throughout the season.
Right.
Then I think at some point you'll see Ekitike get into the side, and I don't know if the manager will necessarily play a front two as such. But I suppose a positive for him, and this is a big thing for me as I was looking at all the potential top goal scorers, is who take penalties as well. And now that Salah's not there, Isak or possibly Szoboszlai, how well do I think Liverpool are going to do? At the minute, it's I think they need some players.
It's so hard with Liverpool.
Yeah, stuff. I'm not seeing a ceiling for Liverpool to where they're contesting for a title. I'm struggling with that. You know what I mean?
There's too many red flags. I messaged Josh Williams. I don't even know Josh. He's brilliant. He started a YouTube channel, actually, people. Go check him out. I was going, where are you at with Liverpool? Because Liverpool was one of my predictions where I was like, I've put them there, and then I went and watched a few of their goals, and there's moments where it's like, I quite like this. I think the excitement will return, inevitably. And I had him quite low because I just had a lot of red flags in that squad overall. And for Isak, again, it's like with Haaland, there just feels like that guarantee, right? They're going to dominate games. He's going to score goals. He's going to dominate the box. For Isak, his injury history is one thing. His kind of role within the team and getting up to speed with that, he's actually sort of dropping off at times because they're coming off as a kind of collective to then go, which is different to what he did at Newcastle. And there's a lot of pressure on him because Ekitike is not fit till Christmas. So that's an opportunity for him, but it also means he's going to get flogged a bit. He's going to have to play every single game. And that's a lot of strain in a team that is intense.
I've watched every minute of their pre-season, and he looks like a guy who's just come back from a pretty big injury, I would say. And Liverpool, on top of that, are just hard to read, right? They've obviously had those 2-0 leads that they ended up throwing away against Leeds and against Monaco. And in the first half of both games, they looked good. And then they didn't have the players to be able to keep it up in the second half. They made a lot of changes. But I've already sort of a bit with Liverpool. But then I watched the second Como fixture they played yesterday, where they played their starting 11, presumably for the Newcastle game. And they looked really good. And Jeremy JaackMaate had an incredible half. It's sort of funny. It's kind of hard because I think you're right. It's the squad depth for me with Liverpool. It's like
that's what Josh said. It's a good first 11. It's after that I'm worried. Yeah. And if you have injuries and you play in an intense fashion, and Iraola, I think at Bournemouth has had those issues. Yeah, understandably, that's what I'm struggling with a little bit. Igor Thiago to kind of keep going would be. I think it's good that he had a bad World Cup because he might have got pinched by someone, but hasn't. We'll get to European outsiders in a second. We'll talk about Brentford.
Do you like João Pedro for Chelsea?
I do.
I think I do.
I think I'm very much prisoner of the moment because I've seen he's done really well in pre-season,
Yeah.
and I don't like to go over the top on pre-season.
He was great last season in pre-season as well. And actually, to be overall, he did score a lot of goals, I think.
I think he's third or
last
fourth
season.
top goal scorer.
Was he? Yeah.
Didn't have the World Cup as well, right? Which was controversial, but means that he'll come into this season a bit fresher as well.
I think for the few of Chelsea's big players, that's a massive advantage as well.
He's got 2 10s playing behind him as well.
Yeah.
If you're looking at Rodgers, looking at Cole Palmer,
Yeah.
I could see him being
Getting
very
fed.
significant. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've not tracked every bit of Chelsea's pre-season, but I feel like Alonso will very much prefer him to Liam Delap. So that's
I think Delap's gone.
So that's his centerpiece then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think with all this, from my perspective, like there's obviously the ways to try and figure out who the top goal scorer is, but I'm thinking about like chance creation, the opportunities that they will have, because they're not going to be. Not every striker is going to score every chance that they have, but how many chances do we expect them to have on average in a game? You know, as this is disregarding say penalties, and I think Alonso is a manager who could think about different ways to create chances for players. I think Areola probably is for Liverpool, but I'm not sure exactly who, apart from Veers, like in terms of little jinky assists and stuff, I'm not really seeing that as clearly at this moment in time, as clearly. And then from a City perspective, you've seen how they create chances, and even with the new manager, the players that they have are still the same players that they have. But so I'm not on. I think we're going to talk about Brentford. We're going to talk about Igor Thiago. I don't think Igor Thiago is even in top 5 this year.
Okay, interesting.
There's a lot of penalties last season.
Yeah, which is obviously like, it feels like a bit of a slur that, but then I'd like it if my guy was scoring penalties. You know what I mean?
Again,
I guess it's just a
Brentford being
question of
efficient, isn't it?
Yeah, it was just a question of how many penalties they're going to win this season, right?
The referees have said, "Oh, hang on a second, hang on a second. We got Igor Thiago to the World Cup."
So, are we all going Haaland in terms of looking to be correct?
Honourable,
give me a yes or no.
Yes, but I think honourable mention to João Pedro, and I think if Haaland if it's 20 goals to finish top goal scorer, then I think it's a good race.
Okay.
If he's 25, that's Haaland territory.
And then we'll put forward outside a shout, João Pedro.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're working as a team. Okay, I'm okay with that. Right, European outsider. Let's do it. So nominees, and again, the European, the irony of this, because it's actually the teams that kind of like for that push are the teams that don't have Europe, in my opinion. But nominees we've got here: Fulham, Brighton, Leeds, Brentford. I would chuck Nottingham Forest in there as well. I actually don't hate their squad at all.
Good to know.
And I think if they see, and I think they're...
It's a little thing for all you Forest fans out there.
Smash that like button, Nottingham Forest fans. I don't hate it. I actually think it's like...
You can see what they're doing.
I don't think anyone will talk about them whatsoever, but I think you've got a really good manager. You've got a team that can play, and it'd be interesting to see how he plays and tweaks it, but I don't totally understand the wing backs for them if we're kind of taking over the sort of Palace formation from Glasner. But if you have Diamande, Milinkovic, and Murillo as 3 centre backs, that's really, really strong. And no European football, maybe a bit of stability. One of my rogue prediction for me, just one manager for Forest this year. Going to go for, believe it or not.
Is this because this one's arriving with a bit more like clout? You could say?
I think so. And I think he's a great manager.
So obviously, Glasner at Palace got European football by winning the FA Cup. Do you think that's the route he's going to have to go with this team, or is he going to finish in the European spots?
Great point, by the way.
That's a good shout, but I can see him definitely.
Because he's a knockout coach, right? Like even with Palace, it was what 13th, 15th finishes with them or whatever.
That's true.
But
what the 13th was the highest ever,
FA
though?
Cup?
Was the 13th not the highest they'd ever finished though under Glasner?
They always finish 12th, don't they?
Yeah.
No,
so just maybe 12.
It's like QPR.
Don't quote me on those finishes.
Not this year, though.
That sort of
Anyway.
realm, yeah.
I don't know. Look, I mean, I think on these last 2 seasons, I guess as well, like he's had other things to deal with. Yeah, maybe he's a cup manager. Obviously, kind of had that with Frankfurt, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah.
But I think they've got a lot of talent in there. Morgan gives wide. You kind of at this stage feel like he's going to get you goals. They've played 2 up top quite a lot with like Chris Wood and Igor Jesus. What's his name? Calamiendo, is that how you say it?
Calamiendo,
Yeah. So they've got some firepower up there. I think Nottingham Forest is worth kind of just touching on for a second. My rogue shout that I can't get away from is Fulham. I actually think Fulham are going to have quite a good season.
I'm not on this.
You're not feeling it?
Yeah, I'm not feeling it either.
I'm distancing this, to be
It
honest.
feels quite risky, Fulham's approach.
I'm not going to fully disavow
banking
it.
in Fulham just to be difficult.
Yeah, I'm not fully disavowing it just yet, but I'm not sure,
Why not?
Just because I'm not necessarily a believer in Arbeloa.
I don't think Arbeloa is that important in this.
I think he's very important in this.
I think you got a squad of men there and some exciting.
So what was it with Marco Silva then?
He was good. He was great.
So you think Arbeloa was better?
No, I think that squad's riper.
They've also lost.
And I think Garcia.
They've lost Wilson and Jimenez, 19 goals last season combined. That's like half of their goals.
Wilson's, but they've got, it's not like they've not got techie players. They've still got techie players. It's just Wilson's gone. I get it. Jimenez, I think they were ready for him to move on. The Garcia thing, he's 22. Like, he's ready to go. I like him a lot.
He had a really good preseason last season, was it? Under
the Club World Cup.
Club World Cup it was.
Club World Cup I really liked. Yeah, I'm sort of big on that. I'm living in that. I just think I also think it was a really great thing to have no spotlight on you. I think you just get on with your work as a football club.
So what he's doing now is putting a spotlight on Fulham.
Yeah, just now, and then for the rest.
Nobody's been thinking about him.
No one can talk
right
about
now.
him after right now. Yeah,
I'm just putting it out there. Shea Charles, good signing to come in, and there might be a couple. I can imagine him getting a couple of extra ones as well. People love living in West London.
Do they? I've seen it firsthand, mate. Shea Charles, shout out to him. I remember when he was in City Academy just a few years ago. He's done very, very well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a bit of pride about that because good kid.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I'm not seeing the
Right, who you
side
having
of thing. You mentioned Brighton, didn't you? They're not in Europe, are they?
They are Conference League.
So I'm actually going to go for Leeds.
Okay.
I think it was very important. This might sound a bit crazy, but I think they could finish the season with a different manager because I think their expectation will change. And I think it's going to change because they'll believe that they should finish higher. I think staying up last year was like the first building block in what they're hoping to try to achieve. And if they're going to be a team, for example, that's just going to be lounging in around the bottom, say, third of the league, I don't think it would have spent that money on someone like a James Trafford. And I think it would have spent it elsewhere.
Have things got to go badly for him to lose his job, though, surely? How strongly is
bad
he?
Is relative. Bad is relative, isn't it? You know what I mean? Because there are some coaches, like Farke was under pressure after they got promoted.
Yeah.
You know, which is a crazy
thing.
thing.
He got sacked before a game, didn't he?
That's what I mean. So I think another one, Reggie Lebris was under pressure at Sunderland partway through last season because they didn't believe he could take them into Europe.
There was talk of him getting fired in the
There
summer.
you go.
It's like
So
crazy.
summer?
Yeah.
What?
That's what I mean. There's a lot more going on than say meets the eye. It's not just like our perceptions of the football.
I think
club.
What do you think about Leeds?
The material point here, though, is it not that like Premier League sides now, that even mid-table sides can have squads that are so good that you start raising the question, okay, we've got this guy who's carried us out of the Championship and brought us in. Do we not now need a specialist manager who's going to get more out of this team in the Premier League? And I think that's going to follow Farke around. It's going to follow someone like Reggie Lebris around. I don't know what I think the answer to that is. With Leeds are tough. I watched them every season last season. They just didn't do a lot, but then they would have these like 10 minutes of intensity and they'd score 2 goals.
Right.
And that would be it. And they're not going to give away anything. They're like really solid defensively. They've got players who can, like single-handedly like generate ball progression. So like Gabriel Goodmanson, Noah Okafor, Jayden Bogle. These are the guys who are like carrying it down the field. And then you've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Lucas Nemecha as well, finishing at like an extraordinary rate relative to what they're doing. So I'm sort of I could see them getting Europe, absolutely. If they carry on the way they finished last season, then yeah. But I feel like the variables are so wide. It's like if they don't score twice in that 10 minutes, it's like, then what do you do? And so there'll be some games where they'll just look like they're not going to achieve anything, but then there'll be other games where they'll win comfortably. And I think it's just going to be where they fall on the side of variance. If things go well for them, I could see them getting Europe, but I could also see them finishing lower mid-table.
Yeah, Calvert-Lewin are kind of course he can, but there's always a question mark, isn't there, over his kind of fitness?
He's been good in pre-season again.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think, to my point on it, the sort of the size of Leeds, the expectation of Leeds, I think the fans are getting incredibly excited, and I don't I get it, but that changes the perspective of a Leeds team that was happy to be in the league and couldn't believe how well they'd done, and now I think I put them in maybe 12th in my prediction or something like that, and I was thinking I'll probably get some heat for this from Leeds fans. Which is like, that's okay for them to feel that. It's okay for them to be optimistic about their team, but that makes it different.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You've got to go and win games instead of stay in games.
Yeah.
And I don't see it with Leeds, if I'm honest.
So one of the issues with being a team that's like in the mid-table is that you're not too far away from being in Europe, but you're a bad season away from just like disappearing from the league altogether. Yeah. So those fine margins you think you can get by, say, 1 or 2 signings, but then by the manager themselves. Like if you are, say, 14th in the table, it's like, but look at the squad that we have. With the Barker's he did a good job, but you can't take us to that next stage. That was the Sunderland thing. They started off really well, then he dipped. maybe he's not the right guy.
Yeah.
And I think from a Leeds perspective, you mentioned before about for Arsenal, like the fact that they've won the league means that they're walking around the league this year as champions. Gold badge, fully deserved. We've done this. Leeds have stayed up. So they're not going to be thinking about, say, another relegation fight because they're experienced. The new teams that have come up, they're the inexperienced ones now. We're not them. We're not the same as them. You know, we were in an FA Cup semi-final against Chelsea. And when I was at that game, a lot of Leeds fans were really disappointed because of the nature of the performance that their team put out, because they felt that Chelsea were there for the taking and they could have, and some felt should have beaten them. I think that's an insight into the sort of mindset that, say, some of them will have, because obviously they want to stay in the league, but they're seeing money being spent. And, you know, again, another little thing, like, it's not even about how these teams do against Chelsea's, Arsenal's, Man City's and whatever. It's the people who are around them and below. Yeah. I remember clear as day. Yeah, clear as day. This is something that makes football seem really, really simple. I had Mark Hughes as manager at City. This is 2009-10. And he used to break the season down into chunks. And he'd be talking about points to be picked up and so on and so forth. And he said, if you beat the bottom 10 teams twice over, it's 60 points. Yeah. It's 60 points.
That's what Bielsa did well in that season where we got 59 points. It was, we got turned over by, Man United a couple of times that season under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We got beaten by, I think, Frank Lampard a few times around that era as well, but consistently beat the teams at the bottom.
Then that's it. Like, a team that win the title will beat all the teams down the bottom. A team that will perform really well will beat the ones who are around the middle to the bottom of the table, And I think Leeds have the potential to do that. And with all this, like, dark horse stuff for Europe, again, the caveat to this whole season, Chelsea and Spurs aren't in Europe. You know what I mean? You've got a bunch of teams who've performed well, relatively speaking, across the last few years, but Chelsea and Spurs are going up to try and qualify for Europe the same way Leeds are. Yeah. And it almost makes me feel like an insane person saying, like, but Leeds could do it this year, because all it would take again will be, another two teams to essentially not be part of the race as such.
Again, I think it speaks to the league as well, that it's just like anyone can really, really beat anyone. Like, because the games are often such kind of fine margins, which again, I think Arsenal fans will get annoyed at this, but like the reason why Arsenal's so strong is that they'll sort of get through games probably better than Man City might.
Because defense, not defense first, because obviously they do have a really good attack, but it's like they're very tough to play against. Yeah. Whatever game they want to try and put forward, they are very, very tough to play against. And if you want to try and press them high, they can go long. If you're going to retreat, they can get the ball up high and move the ball around. The likes of Yesterday, I thought Odegaard was like Norwegian Odegaard from the summer.
Yeah, he looked good, didn't he?
Mustard yesterday, yeah. So
Brentford, briefly, haven't been pillaged this year. Sangare, from what I've seen of him, I think is very exciting. I think they beat Frankfurt 7-0 today, and they've got loads of players that are like, I don't know if it's like sort of aesthetically people kind of don't have that like swagger, but the output is often there for them all. Like Anthony, Ouattara's a good player. Sade, like Thiago again, it doesn't look great sometimes, but he does seem to get goals for them. I think, and Callum Wilson, I think, is a really clever little signing. Last 20 minutes of games, comes on, pinches some goals for them, because he's just got that in his locker. But I think Brentford's a sneaky one as well.
You know what's actually quite sneaky here? Some people can think this is, what is it, psyop or whatever. So the QPR fan is hyping up Fulham and Brentford. Something stinks here. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Self-preservation.
Yeah, something stinks.
Oh no, I was wrong. I got relegated. What a shame.
I'm concerned with how Brentford finished last season, because they were in position. There was a point where they were in fifth, and I think Chelsea was sinking like a stone and so on. And Brentford went on a run where they drew like 5 or 6 games in a row.
The pressure hit them,
and then they just started losing. Yeah. And then next thing they were out of the European place altogether. So
coming in, who is going to be your European outsider? I'm going to stick with Fulham. You got Leeds, haven't you?
I got Leeds, yeah.
Come on.
It's tough, isn't it? Because I think like we're trying to work out whether or not.
Give me a club, John.
I'll go Forest. I'll go Forest.
Forest.
Forest, right.
Yeah. I'll go Leeds then, just because I feel the pressure from my friends.
Okay, let's keep moving. Best signing. Who will be the best signing come the end of the season? A few nominees here for you. Christian Solis, 34 mil from Club Brugge. I used to laugh at people who said it like that, but that is...
look at you.
I know.
Corporate sellout.
I know. Morgan Rogers, 170 million to Chelsea from Aston Villa. Manzambi went to Aston Villa. Hayden Hackney to Everton. Mamadou Sangare, who we spoke about, 40 million. Solid amount of money from Brentford. He's come from Lens. Shea Charles, we touched on earlier. And a couple more: Tielemans, Awani, Callum Wilson, and I think Bruno G. I think we need to chuck in there.
Yeah, Bruno G has to be chucked in, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Who do you think is going to be a hit signing?
It's a weird list, isn't it?
It is a weird list.
It doesn't feel like there's anyone nailed on, but I guess there's going to
No.
be some big transfers before the end of the season that could maybe excite people. I don't know. Liverpool seem to be linked with Barcola, yeah, and if he comes in, then potentially him. Did you mention Mateus Fernandes for Spurs? Maybe got him in there.
Tonali as well. I saw you talking about Tonali. I thought that was really interesting. How you're not totally sold on within a De Zerbi team him getting it off the back foot.
Yeah, I think Spurs are going to be really interesting because it used to be the case that I think De Zerbi's upside from when he was 10 years ago was being able to create ways of baiting the opponent up and then playing through the middle and then having these really nice transition moments. Teams now just block out the middle, so you've got to move everything out wide, and you can still do the same thing and still access the centre of the pitch. But I think it just looks to me less guaranteed and less dangerous.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of. For me, the solution to that is to bring in even more techie players into the middle and then try and find that edge again. But obviously, Tonali isn't that. So the big question with Tonali for me is how do you access him sort of once you've moved the ball around the opposition block and then get back? Because obviously when he carries the ball, fantastic. And he's obviously going to be doing all the out of possession stuff really well as well. For me, it's just more of a tactical, overarching tactical question of why would you go for someone like that if you are that kind of coach?
Yeah, and it's a lot. I mean, also the prices are interesting, aren't they? If you get to the end of the window and Solis is the kind of Bruno G obviously coming in is, I think the answer is probably Bruno G, isn't it? Let's be honest, in terms of to go and get essentially the best player of the rest and bring him into your team, and the personality that he has, I think is huge for them.
It depends who wins the league, right? That's usually how these conversations go. So if it is Arsenal, which is the most likely, then it is going to be between whether or not Bruno is good or if Solis is as productive as he was yesterday for the rest of the season.
One is in terms of signings that sort of move the needle, but in different ways. I think Tielemans, the sort of the fact that he's so consistent and of such a high quality, and for the fee they've got him. I think he's 29. I think that is a really, really good signing. I think Awani's going to Coventry, and I think they needed someone like that. I think in terms of getting you from one place to another place, can he go and have that Dominic Calvert-Lewin season for them? That could be, defining for them as a club. The one I wanted to ask you about was the conversation around Henderson and Welbeck going to Chelsea, and it's we've got guys have got standards now. Everything's the culture's fine now. How much do you buy into that those two will have a positive effect? Because if it was a video game and they just are footballers, I'm a big Welbeck fan, but Henderson's a steady player. He's not, he's not moving the needle. It would be seen very different if he'd stepped into, I don't know, if he goes to Tottenham or if he went back to Liverpool, you'd be like, But at Chelsea, there's this sort of feeling that, thank goodness we've got two old blokes. So how do you know
they've played together before for club side?
Sunderland.
Yeah. Do you know who else was there that year as well?
You were a professional footballer, I know.
I was a professional footballer. I don't know if you know.
We know that.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
You're my hero.
But to be fair, at that time, I think they're both the same age. Danny had just come over from United. I think it was his first proper loan, and Jordan was coming through. Right? It's maybe his second year at Sunderland. And I think the more interesting thing from my perspective about this move is how much is different from what Chelsea were a year ago. Previously, a 28-year-old would be too old for Chelsea.
Yeah.
And now it's almost like they've made a point of bringing in these two people who I didn't think firstly were available, nor did I think that a team like Chelsea would be interested in bringing in either of them, because it feels like they're building for their future. We're not really building for your future if you've now brought in two players who, combined age is 70. But I think, again, it's signaling, it's not to say that they need to set the culture and so on, but more so I think they're going to have more players in and around the squad who can understand the message that the manager wants to give.
Right.
And I think from Alonso's perspective, that's going to be hugely important to him. I don't think they're going to be, say, people who are playing every single week as such, but there are people who, what we see for the most part is what happens on a Saturday. But what happens on a Saturday comes because of what happens Monday through Friday. And I think those players will be a big part of setting that and understanding that. And then when they play on the weekend, they'll play good, bad, whatever they're going to be. But it's going to be part of forming what this next stage of Chelsea is going to be. Because I think it's sometimes if you rely on young people to do that, again, I don't know, this is just me, but this is perhaps a life thing. There's never been a day in my life where I didn't think when I thought I didn't know enough.
Yeah.
You know, but as you get older, you learn more. And those players like Danny and Jordan, they're seeing a very different game to say some 18, 19-year-old's been brought in for 50 million on a 7-year deal. Like they're being professionals, but Danny's been a professional, Jordan's been a professional. There's a gap in the middle where the two can sort of unite, and I think that's what that'll be.
Yeah,
I think I was just going to say, I always think one of the things, even just writing the book, that I found is that everyone always wants there to be like a silver bullet for everything. So people want to be like, this is the best way of playing football, and this is what you do to do this, and almost always, I think, in the history of football tactics, the answer is like a bit of everything. You need a bit of everything. And the issue with Chelsea is they didn't have that. So that doesn't mean to say, oh, well, the answers to everything is like bring in older players and add that level of experience. But if you don't have that, you've got to do something about it. And I think it's so tempting at football. In football media, we always just want to be like, 45 minutes have happened, and so this is the truth. But I think what I'm finding more and more is like it's clear that Chelsea went the wrong route. They've got to sort of fix it in some way. There's other teams who are doing the opposite, right? Who are having to bring in younger players because they don't have that youth to come through as well. You've got to get the balances right always. And that's the trick, I think, in all of these.
I think Mark Warburton kind of like when he would build his squads, he kind of wanted. Yeah, he wanted maybe in thirds.
Going into
very
deep
least.
QPR law here.
Sorry, whenever I've got an Edinburgh,
I've got more QPR law.
Yeah.
I've got way more.
Yeah, you got too much.
way too much. But I think from my perspective, what does it take if, say, come the end of the season, what would need to have happened for us to say that those two were bad signings for Chelsea?
Yeah, I mean,
what evidence?
I think it's kind of impossible. And I think I think it will be good, and I think you will see it because what that experience provides, and when it's well-founded experience, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you have experienced players that are rotten,
old players.
Which
you've got old players.
Which
You've
again, we've got another hour on that from then.
Two completely different things. Yeah.
But like I think with Henderson Welbeck in particular, if you are a younger player and they will see the pitfalls before they are the pitfalls.
Yeah.
They'll also, if those younger players have not been there before, like we've seen with Arsenal have gone kind of through that. I think the idea here is that because I used to think that, again, to your point about the beating the rest, I think that's what kind of cost Arsenal maybe a couple of seasons ago.
Agreed, yeah.
Where they were going, we'll be all right. It's Fulham away. And like Fulham are going to get into Europe this year, and I think that's definitely been a Chelsea thing where they go, well, we're good, aren't we? So we'll be fine. And it just doesn't work like that. And I think getting to those answers quickly from sources that you can trust, that could be very powerful.
People always talk about experience in a really like abstract way, whereas the reality is Jordan Henderson is not going to play much for Chelsea this season, but he will turn up to training. He'll do everything that's required of him. He'll work really hard. He'll work as hard as if he is playing every minute for Chelsea. And that sort of influence, I think, is important for a squad of young players.
And he'll have status, won't he? I think that's important as well. He'll have status. Like, if you don't have that, then you could be speaking to avoid and just irritating people.
For me, the Chelsea thing, they're not building a squad for them, building a squad like with them in it, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And also with some of these experienced players, especially like good ones like those, through training, like I've got two sort of stories here. But say, for example, when you do training games, there are certain people who, if they're on your team, they win the majority of games. Yeah. But they're never like the young star.
I know.
But it's just they understand like what the game is, and like they maximize. So I did it when I was at City under Sven-Göran Eriksson, and he used to get it so that every week you'd be mixing the teams up, but you'd play like 5v5 on like a Tuesday or something, and then keep a tally throughout the month of how many points you'd get in these round robins, and the teams were always changing week to week, and he put it up on a board, and then the people that were the top 5 would get a payout, and the ones at the bottom would get shamed. The ones at the bottom were always not always the people, but you'd be surprised by who was at the bottom because it was some of the younger people who would see a team around them that they thought wasn't very good, and they'd stop trying.
Right.
And it's like, they lose their first game. This is all done. You start to realize who you want on your team and who you don't.
Yeah.
And I think people like Daniel now is a big thing. And also my other story. This is a QPR one, proper QPR law. So Ian Holloway was coach, and we were doing a pre-season, and I think it's his first proper season because he maybe came halfway through the season before. But he was trying to talk to us about his general setups when he was at Blackpool and all this stuff. and he said, right, this is what we're doing as a back four, and everything was like this, like set play. There were like 4 or 5 things which he liked to do. Certain patterns made perfect sense, but all those patterns were built around one thing. And he said he wants 3 forwards to pin back a back four. He wanted 2 wingers inside the fullbacks and somebody in between the 2 centre halves. Yeah, he said always 3, never 2, never 4. Yeah, never 4 players. And if you notice my wording, I said like he needs somebody between the 2 nines. I didn't say the 9 between 2 centre halves. He said somebody between there. So we used to record the training sessions, and I promise you, for a month, every day in training, it was never 3. It was either always 2 or 4. But the people who were up there at the time were a bit more inexperienced.
Yeah.
And they didn't understand why they were doing that. They didn't understand like, oh, this guy's dropped off, so I need to go in here. But that underpins the whole setup.
Right.
And when you have players that like are good players but haven't really understood the value and the importance of something yet, then you can't put the building blocks in play to be able to put forward your plan. And I remember him, he said it's like he's got this new pool in his house and he's filled it with water, gone to bed, woken up, and the pool's empty again. He says every day I'm refilling this pool. Every day I'm doing the same thing and the same thing and the same thing. Whereas the back four, which was more experienced, like he said it once, it's like, cool gaffer, we got you.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah,
Amazing.
There we go. QPR law.
Love that. Always love that QPR law. Right. So yeah, who do you want to put forward as your pick for this then?
But for me, I'll go for Guimaraes, but I'll give a shout out to Tielemans because we're talking there about 2 potential Premier League captains that have been acquired. Yeah, been acquired for both those clubs. United needed that bit of like, say, experience in that midfield area to complement the people that are already in there, you know, with Casemiro leaving and so on. And Arsenal have brought somebody in who is a tried and tested Premier League skipper, an excellent player in the league, and somebody who's also thirsty for their first Premier League title, like everyone else was beforehand, just a couple of years ago. And to be able to get him from what was once and maybe still will be a rival, which is crazy, like Newcastle this season. I don't even know what's going on there, but yeah, I think it'll be those 2, and they're a bit unglamorous or whatever, but functionally they're going to help the team get to the next level potentially.
Okay, John, who you put forward?
Happy to go with Bruno. Again, it depends who wins the league, right? I think, you know, for example, if Liverpool win the league, I think someone like Jeremy JaackMaate could surprise people. Someone like that would be like a new signing, etc. I've gone with some hipster choices as well. I think Manzambi is just going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think a lot of people will be raving about him. You've mentioned Mamadou Sangare as well. I think he'll be big. And then outside chance for James Trafford. I think that's like, it's a really important.
Saw the clip where they played this. He's just chilling and then played this pass. You're like, oof.
Listen, man,
you look good.
I was a bit sad that like he wasn't first choice last season, to be honest with you. And I'm probably quite sad that I'm quite sad that he's left now.
After yesterday.
Because I think, well, everyone has bad days, you know what I mean? But yeah, because I think like there's going to be a lot of change in the England scene in the next couple of years. I wouldn't be surprised if Trafford's the next goalkeeper.
That's the story, isn't it? This year, but see if you can put any pressure on him this year. I'm going to go pure hipster lean. Sangare.
Not like you at all.
Sangare. Yeah, always.
Yeah.
I look cool. I look like I know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
We all know I'm a fraud. Right, flop signing. Tentatively, we'll put this forward.
I struggle with this firstly because like the bias comes out. Like there's some subconscious bias I have about, say, certain players, certain teams, certain things. But then also as a former pro, it's kind of like saying
you don't want to say
you're going to be crap, mate.
Yeah.
Like, and that like
I think it's more like it. I don't see it working.
Same difference.
Yeah. You can move on to another team and it can work. A couple of nominees here. Don't shoot the messenger. Ronald Araujo to Liverpool on loan. There have been some Barca fans thanking Liverpool for taking him on Twitter. He's a big threat in the penalty area, but may have a mistake in him at times. Again, I think I saw a video with Josh Williams, and he was talking about how good is he in terms of like the build-up phase, and he went, "He's fine," and I wouldn't go further than that. So we'll see. But I think for what they could get, I don't see the harm in that. So Alejandro Garnacho feels like he feels like a pantomime villain in this league.
Which is a shame considering how young he is as well, by the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Scored one of the best goals in Premier League history as well. I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, it's so wild that he scored that goal and immediately has become like persona non grata for like almost every fan base seemingly.
Yeah.
People just are not. We were texting talking about someone else. I always think the body language of players is people want to be riled up. People want to be angry or in love. and Garnacho. I think
So there's two ways we're going to go on Garnacho.
I think that's a little bit of an issue here with him. But yeah, so he's obviously he's on loan with a conditional option to buy for 42.6 million. It would be so Emery for him to just like figure it out because he likes those lost souls, doesn't he? He does seem to go.
What
for
happened
them
with Harvey Elliott last year?
It was. I mean, wasn't that like a squad technical thing?
What does that mean?
I think there's plenty of value in Garnacho though. I think with Elliott, it's I kind of understand.
Oh, right, got it.
I kind of understand why people would be feeling low on him. But with Garnacho, he's a winger who does basically all of the small things right and doesn't do many big things, right? And people expect wingers to do big things. And I think, you know, with someone like Emery, where so much of it is about system, I can just see him just doing everything, everything he's supposed to do fairly well. And I think that will be enough for him to be fine.
Villa, this might sound like a really stupid question, so I'd like to sort of help me out here. Do Villa build around wingers? Do wingers matter to Villa?
I wouldn't say
Villa
so.
famously have to like rely on their fullbacks like for width a lot. Right? So you played like John McGinn on one side, and they would play on the other side like Morgan Rogers sometimes, and then everyone squeezes in and they try and go through the middle.
So how does Garnacho fit in with that then?
Well, I guess he offers because they used Rashford quite well, and they used Asensio
Bailey,
quite well.
they've had quite a few over the years.
So it then just allows them to be, I guess, a bit more asymmetrical. So you'll have one guy who's holding the width, and then the fullback on the other side, so that you don't have to push both even fullbacks up. So
I think that's a very good point, and I don't think any of those guys have long-term kind of worked. And even Rashford, you kind of had one. He actually played centre forward, I think, sometimes.
He did, yeah.
But also you had Asensio, who kind of came. I think zone 14 is important for Emery.
Yeah.
Be it like Rogers or McGinn kind of making their way there, or flooding it in a different way.
Preferably scoring from there directly.
Yeah. Buendia did, like you saw him in the Super Cup. But yeah, the wingers probably haven't always been the beneficiaries here. So I think Garnacho is a good safe shout, sadly, for him, because I always
it's funny how many of I was thinking through all of this, and like how many of the people in there could go either way. Like it could be like, oh, they're the signing of the season, and if they aren't, then suddenly it becomes like flop of the season. So I think Araujo fits into that. I think I could see Araujo just being good this season, and everyone being like, oh, because he's playing backup. They've got Jeremy Jacquet, they've got Leone as well. It's clear that they just wanted to bring in a stopgap.
Yeah,
and. You know, maybe he'll be fine. Maybe he won't. If he won't, he probably won't play much. But like, I could see him being much better than people expect. I've got the two Man United midfielders. I could see people going really hard on them and being like, they're great. Or I could see them being left on an island at times defensively, and people deciding as a result they're not great. I think the same with the two Spurs midfielders. When you spend that amount of money on a couple of midfielders, if they can't progress the ball well enough, then people will be like, well, that was a lot of money spent. What a waste.
Anyone who's like Elliot Anderson,
yeah.
I think a lot of people are high on him. I'm a big fan of his, but over 100 million for a player, you're sort of in this different realm where it's hard. Like people just talk about the money all the time, and it's quite hard to shake that.
Wouldn't that be the same for Morgan Rogers then?
Yeah, I think it will. But I think they've both got kind of ways out of it a little bit. Elliot Anderson, there won't be that burden on him to score.
Yeah.
And I think Morgan Rogers will score. I think Morgan Rogers will do well this season, personally. The only one, and I get back to the initial idea of like, oh God, I feel terrible even saying it, but I don't really get it, is Emerson, who's come from Toulouse, a Brazilian striker. He's gone for 28 million to Ipswich. I just don't know. I feel like that's a lot on a 21-year-old lad to kind of come in and be the spearhead.
I don't know. At 21, is it? Is it?
I don't know. That's just one that I sort of keep looking at when I keep going through all the transfer ins and outs. I'm like, I don't think that's going to. I'll be sure. I hope I'm wrong. I really, really hope I'm wrong.
I've seen a lot of people saying that him coming to a promoted side and being expected to sort of run the line for them is kind of
unfair.
A crazy one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so we're classing that as being a lot of money today.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe it's not. I don't
think you can.
I just don't get it. I just don't really get it.
I don't know.
If I'm honest.
Yeah, it's these like flop things are just they are really, really interesting. Just because again, at this moment in time, we've not seen a ball be kicked yet. It's so tough to read, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the Araujo, like he was also like a captain at Barcelona. You know what I mean? But then he also looked very different to everyone else at Barcelona in terms of their whole philosophy, how they play, and so on. There is more there, but again, the Garnacho one, I'm trying my best not to be involved in this pile-on, but I wouldn't be surprised if like he just didn't do well at Villa. You know what I mean?
Let's reframe it. I just can't see it working. That's the thing.
I think Garnacho will be good at Villa.
Okay,
I'm
nice.
gonna stick the knife in on you and go with Gonzalo Garcia at Fulham as a potential flop.
Yeah. You see,
Could be minging.
he could.
Yeah,
has all the hallmarks.
There's some
All the hallmarks. He's just physically. He's like. Do you know what it'd be like the guy at Wolves, who's like amazing on FM?
Yeah.
Fabio Silva.
Yeah, it could be like that.
Man.
It could easily be.
I'll be honest with you. Having seen Gonzalo Garcia play last season for Real Madrid, not Community Shield, Club World Cup, and all that stuff, he looks a lot like a lot of players I've seen playing in the Championship.
I thought you were going to say Raul.
Yeah, no. He's come through at Real Madrid or whatever, fine. He looks very honest in terms of how he plays. The link-up play is good. The finishing is good. But that's like the starter pack. Yeah. And he just happens to have been at Real Madrid.
Lad's going to explode.
And got a Spanish name. And got a Spanish name. So now it's like, oh, I tell you what. You know what I mean? Right. We've signed someone from Real Madrid and he could do well. He could be great.
Yeah.
But I think some of the, like, you know, as soon as a player's like linked with your team, you all of a sudden go on YouTube and see all the like hype videos and stuff like that. I think
I just think
they're probably forcing some of those videos.
And all those wingers.
Do you know what I mean? There's like,
I think he's going to kill it.
I love this rupture that we've.
Yeah, it's
I'm sticking with it.
Yeah.
So okay, we can't put it forward here. Player to watch. Gonzalo Garcia is my pick. Just kind of get that out of the way quickly. A few others. If you guys want to focus on one, that would be lovely. But some nominees, I think that will be interesting. Antoine Semenyo, he's going to be high and wide on that right, and so should probably get a lot of goals, maybe a lot of assists as well. Cole Palmer, he's fresh, isn't he?
And he's got his boy next to him as well.
He's got his boy next to him, yeah. Yeah, you know, in terms of predictions, how is the celebration going to work? Who's going to go first? Is it whoever scores first gets to do it? Do they have to do it together all the time now? I don't know.
Is there any sort of narrative about who actually did it first? Is there?
It was Rodgers. Morgan Rodgers, yeah.
And Cole Palmer stole it from him. Because they were at Man City together.
Yeah.
The academy team.
Yeah, he did. He pitched it.
That's juicy, isn't it? I can't wait for the Athletic piece on that.
Yeah. How many words on that?
Oh, God.
So, I mean, those are the kind of three we've got here. If you want to put forward anyone else, you can do.
I think for Cole Palmer, if he's going to have a season the same way like Wirtz did when, say, Alonso won Bundesliga, like there's a lot that goes through those central areas and the creativity that can come from someone like Wirtz and so on. Cole Palmer could be great, especially with João Pedro, if he's going to be fit and leading the line, because he has the speed, the strength, and the touch as well. Like again, this is just my bias now. So Igor Thiago, this is just pure old school, my age bias here. Igor Thiago, for the way he plays, doesn't feel Brazilian. João Pedro does.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And when it's like that, I think some of the number 10s can link up with people in a different way. And I think the way that Cole Palmer sees the game suits João Pedro. And João Pedro suits Cole Palmer. So I think he could be a big thing this season. And to make a point about City, so through pre-season, again, this is all to do with Maresca and so on. We've all said during the season, when a new manager comes in, it's very tough for them to put their plans in place because they've got games and all that stuff. Give them a pre-season. Well, Maresca's got a pre-season where half his team didn't turn up till a week ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But one thing that it's led to, the ones who came back a bit earlier, they looked a bit better yesterday. But Semenyo had been playing off the left for his time in pre-season. And he was one of City's best players in pre-season.
Oh, he's good.
Now, all of a sudden, Doku's back, who isn't functionally as good off the right. And for the way the squad is at this moment, Jack Grealish even played yesterday. And he plays off the left.
Yeah.
So Antoine Semenyo has shown them something, which I know that Maresca wants and needs, but maybe his versatility will be something that sort of holds him back a little bit from getting like the prime.
It's funny because I've got Doku down as a player to watch. I don't know how we're interpreting player to watch. I've maybe just gone more towards like exciting players who will, and I think Doku has an argument to be like one of the most exciting players in the league. And at the end of last season, I think he really hit his stride. He started adding end product to the exciting dribbling. Again, he's playing for a team where the focus is getting the ball to wingers in isolation, and he can go around either way. I thought he was again in the game yesterday. I thought there were some signs that he was cooking as well. So I've actually got him down. I don't think City will necessarily be great, but I think he'll just be box office this season.
Let's smush two together because I think also within player to watch, I rattled off a few players. I do think Matis Tell's going to have a good season. But he finished the season last year really well, and I think that the wingers will be important for Spurs as well in terms of goals. And I I think he could have a really good season. Toure is quite an exciting player for Newcastle. Kind of has to take up what Gordon did, but he's different. He will be a player that people probably won't know too much about, but is exciting. And yeah, on my most improved player nominees list, I've got Igor Jesus, who we've kind of spoken about before. I think he'll have a good season for them. Phil Foden, interested to know your thoughts on that. Florian Wirtz is one that a lot of people are putting forward. I think systematically it looks much better for him there. I think he will have a good season for him. If you think of Kluivert for Bournemouth, not last year, the year before, it's kind of, you can see him in those similar kind of areas. Looks a bit stockier as well, actually. And with the pace of play, I think that works for him because I think he's smart more than anything else. Voltemada will kind of, I think Voltemada could go either way. Like, people have got a real issue with him for some reason. But I'm intrigued to see how he plays. And at Stuttgart, he's probably going to be a little bit deeper here. There'll be a pairing with him and Visser. And at Stuttgart, he thrived in that role, playing with Dennis Undav, so that could work. And Kai's chucked in Tyler Dibbling because he wanted to put an Everton player in there, and he's been good in pre-season apparently. So
Dibbling, was he injured towards the end of last year? I feel like he wasn't really playing.
I feel like he wasn't really playing. Was he not really playing at the start? I don't feel like I saw him.
Do you know? I'll reveal my full bias here. Yeah, working in TV, radio, and all that stuff. Sometimes I'm a victim to, like, come the end of the season, there are a bunch of teams that only play at 3:00, and all of a sudden I lose my sort of feel for like what they're doing. If you know what I mean? Because like if you're not really watching it live, you'll probably end up watching highlights if you don't have full time. But like highlights don't necessarily represent like the nature of a game, does it? Yeah. And you don't know the timing of the subs and all the features. Whereas all the ones that are like the 12:30, the 5:30, the 2, the 4 or whatever on a week of 4:30, it's like yeah.
Well, that was the thing with Thiago.
Yeah.
So all of Thiago's goals were at 3 p.m. on a Saturday, so everyone's like, has he actually scored any of these goals? So I think you went with Doku. We've said Gus here. We've spoken about him.
Do you know, I can't.
Who do you want to go with? As a player to keep an eye out on this year that people are probably not thinking about.
To keep an eye out on. I'll go Cole Palmer. I just think like under Alonso he's going to be good. But to make a point about Voltemada, because obviously he's a very good player, German international and so on. But because he's so big for the way he plays, I think it just gives people the ick because he just looks like a small guy playing big.
We were talking about this as well. This leads us on to young player to watch. We started talking about Brian Maggio, didn't we? And I don't know if you felt the same. And I sort of said this on the Football Ramble last week. But I watched that first half and I just thought he's going to get bullied. Like, as in, like, from the media, like, not in a game. I think like he did the bullying to Pacho, but I get very nervous about people going too big on players too quickly. Like, he's already England's number 9. Like, people kind of like putting that forward.
It's like such a huge jump. Harry Kane leaves because we've got Brian Maggio. Yeah, imagine that pressure. Yeah.
And I just I think he is absolutely a young player to watch. But like Ngamo, I think, who I put forward last year. You got, you know this better than me, but like you got to be kind of careful in the sort of the inning and outing of them within the team. They've got to be ready for the burden of being that striker. I don't think he'll play as much as people think. I really, really don't.
How about if Watkins leaves?
I think he'll leave this summer.
Well, they've currently got 3, haven't they? So it's Macho, it's Watkins, and it's Abraham. And Maggio was ahead of Abraham because he didn't play in the.
Yeah, I was surprised by that.
But did you see what Emery was saying? Abraham's only new there. Did you hear what Emery was saying after the game? He was saying that those 2 players, Hemmings and Maggio, who have been a big part of their pre-season and done well, because Hemmings is also the reason against Garnacho, getting some game time as well. Because Garnacho's been out injured, I think, but Hemmings, he could be a regular start for them. Feels like a Jacob Ramsey type.
He did, yeah.
Sorry, I've lost my train of thought. God damn it. What was I just saying there?
We were talking about Maggio.
Emery after the game, he said for Maggio and for Hemmings, he'd been telling them to get ready for this pre-season from 6 months ago.
Oh, really?
He didn't say like, we've made a plan for them for the pre-season. He said he was remaining patient with them, telling them, just be patient. We're going to build this summer around, say, like you 2 being involved, especially Maggio. And that's like a very big statement because that's real planning. Yeah. Because he knew that there'll be players who go to the World Cup who might get to a certain point and so on. But he wanted to take this pre-season as one to build for the season. And he's built it around Maggio being in there. Right. So would not be surprised if he is the starter come the beginning of the season. Would not be surprised.
Wrong take.
Would not. Listen, man.
I mean, he's like, God, he was effective. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, missed some chances, scored an incredible one where, he's literally, it's like he's holding on to the guy whilst putting the ball in, which is, it's incredible. It just feels like a lot. I don't know, it makes me a little bit nervous. Sean Sturr, Newcastle, a lot of Newcastle fans excited about him. 18-year-old from Ajax. Josh King in his sort of second season. I think, 32 Premier League apps, 15 starts last season. He, I think, was with the England squad over the World Cup as well. So there's a lot of
That's
high
weird.
hopes for him.
That's weird, by the way. Some of the stuff. Do you remember? Just for me, maybe I'm biased again. But you see some of the players. It was like Rio Gamoa as well. So he was in like
Scott was there, wasn't he?
Yeah, like the squad that's not the squad. You're playing in a build-up game, but you're not in the squad. I did think that was quite weird.
Oh, right. I see what you mean. Yeah.
I thought that was a bit weird.
It was a bit weird, yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, sorry, I've said too much.
You
already.
digress.
Fuck. My mask has slipped on me. Yeah.
And another one who I think is a player to watch is, but I really struggle with Brighton because obviously Welbeck has gone. Kostoulis, it could just be phenomenal planning in the sense of give him a year to get settled and then they'll definitely kind of hit the ground running instead of being that new signing that's got to hit the ground running. But Kostoulis and I forget the other Greek lad's name, but those two are going to kind of have to be, or Rutter maybe is maybe the sort of main man for Brighton. But they're going to get a lot more games this year. Brighton are confusing, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. Just to add some names to the list, I maybe have gone towards the younger end of the spectrum and maybe won't see many, but Luca Williams-Barnett has had a fantastic pre-season with Spurs. He looks ready to come off the bench for them, I think. I've got Aiden Heaven in here as well, just because he will be playing regularly. I've got Rio as well, but maybe he's already an established player at this point.
I think he will be. Like, I think that'll be the difference this year. Is that they were kind of like, should he put him in? This year he goes in.
Yeah.
What about Trey
Neone? I've got him on the list as well. He's been so good in pre-season. I think they'll keep him around and they'll bring him off the bench again. But yeah, it's really interesting because I think Gravenberch hasn't so far looked like he fits in the Iraola system, whereas Neone has. McAllister is just back from World Cup duty / holiday and is obviously like looking rusty because he's played one game. I wonder whether or not we see Trey Neone actually starting games by the end of the season if things go that way and there's any.
Okay, I like it.
Again, like bold prediction, but like he looks so good in that kind of slot, and I think Iraola's got a record of bringing through players who, he played Dean House when Senesi was injured, and then within a season of them signing, he was off to Real Madrid, and he has that impact on players. And a few hat tips to centre backs, like really, really good young centre backs coming through. Marley Salmon at Arsenal, probably too early again for him, but with Saliba injured, he's there and thereabouts. Played a few sort of domestic cup competitions last season. He looks absolutely fantastic. Malachi Hardy at Spurs similarly. So yeah, I think there's so many exciting young players coming through these teams.
Like a new era, doesn't it?
Yeah. By the way, it's surreal times. Like we've talked about players going on and so on. In what world is like Konate playing for Real Madrid under Jose Mourinho? In what world is like Bernardo Silva, who was like the enemy of Real Madrid, playing for Real Madrid under Jose Mourinho?
Imagine
like,
if Rodri had gone to Real Madrid.
These are just spooky times.
I couldn't get my head around that one.
These are spooky times. So the player that I'm going to mention isn't one that I've seen a lot of, but one where the signing, reading into the terms of it. So Luka Vuskovic going to Brighton from Spurs. For £50 million.
Yeah, juicy.
20% sell-on clause. And Spurs have got the right to sign him back. So this is a player that they fancy heavily as a 19-year-old. Heavily, yeah. Because they're not prepared. Like £50 million for a 19-year-old that's not played for you. She'd be like, just wipe your hands, say, oh, cool, we'll take that. But I think he's got the potential to be something which they're perceiving to be like a huge asset going forward.
Yeah, and he's got full season in the Bundesliga under his belt as well at the age of 19.
The only thing I want to see with him is he played in a 3, I think, and so he's kind of the middle of the 3. Whereas Brighton will be different in that sense. But yeah, he has to be good, doesn't he? I mean, ultimately,
yeah,
that kind of like,
50 million for a 19-year-old, and it's like
centre back as well. Yeah, good shout, really good shout.
Well,
okay,
I might disavow in a few weeks, but for now, yeah,
yeah. It's out there now. It's all getting bookmarked. And do you know what? I'm going to finish with this. Will be our last one. Manager to watch. I might even just after that just chuck a few weird predictions from the people at you, if that's okay. And you just say, I'm having it, Jim. I'm not having it, Jim. Okay. So first of all, like, obviously, John, in terms of kind of, what we do, we all managers are geniuses, are frauds, right? They've got them on the pad, ready to sort of make them purr. Who out of the managers, and obviously therefore the teams, are you excited to look at this year?
I've gone for 4. I'm going to start with Arteta. I think he just goes under the radar. He's just a fantastic manager, and I think this season, as we were saying before, I think the way that Arsenal evolve from a tactical point of view is going to determine whether or not this becomes a dynasty for them, rather than maybe picking up a Premier League trophy every other once in a while. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's got in store. Iraola, I just think, is box office at Liverpool. I just think it will be fun. It might not work, but it's going to be fun one way or the other.
Do you know, I'd be really gutted if it doesn't work, because I want those. Liverpool are in big games that I have to watch. I would like them to be enjoyable to watch. So I hope it does click. I think
as well, people undervalue how good an individual coach he is. He just improves players, and partly that is because I think his system has a level of simplicity to it, where it's just you put the players in the best positions, right? And that's kind of what it is. And there's actually a level of rigidity in what they do. You're going to play with a back four. You're going to have a double pivot, one of whom is going to have a different responsibility, and then you've got the 10 doing the 10 stuff that you expect a 10 to do, the 9 doing 9 stuff, wingers doing winger stuff. But I also think that he just improves play, and you can even see it in this pre-season. It's just players coming through, and you're he just gets the most out of those players. So I think that will be good to watch as well.
I wouldn't be surprised if because he did it with a few players, but Ryan Christie's the one that comes to mind in particular. It just sort of took a player from one position and just. And I could see him. It'd be interesting to see if he looks to do that with a youth player or even an established one. That would be fascinating.
Slight pushback. Only ever so slight. So Bournemouth last year, most draws in the Premier League. It was a lot, nearly half of all the games. I think it's 17, 18 draws. Yeah, why do you think that is? If you have to
keep going at it.
So
I was talking to Tom Jordan, who's a Bournemouth channel, and he said the one thing that they really couldn't do was they couldn't beat the newly promoted teams because they really struggled against a low block.
Yeah,
that's the other thing I'm intrigued to see.
I think he's obviously
the scale up is I think for me what's so interesting. It's how do you take this play style and make it good for?
I think he's very capable of doing that, and I think Liverpool can be excellent. Yeah. But I think one of the flaws that I saw with him, and this is something I saw firsthand. It's only a small sample size. One particular game I watched. They were playing against Everton in the FA Cup. I think it was either last year or the year before. They were 2-3 up at half time. They were destroying Everton. In fact, it was at Goodison Park. Destroying Everton. It's wow, this is special. And then the second half came, Everton gained a bit of momentum, and Bournemouth didn't change how they played. So they could never control a game of football. Yeah. And I think when you go, in my mind, to one of the teams up near the top, that is a skill in itself to be able to take the sting out of a game. Yeah. And I don't know if that's his mindset to sort of create patterns to do that. To be able to maintain good possession in the opposition's half is one of the ways to take sting out of a game, being prepared to move the ball backwards and so on. But there's some coaches who only see forward, and there's the pitch is a finite length. The end of it is there. You can't continually just go forward. And I think at some stage, from Liverpool's perspective, given the fact that last year you could probably say they had a few issues defensively, not necessarily just defenders, but defensively, especially in transition.
Conceded a lot of goals.
They might concede a lot of goals. That's what Bournemouth did last year. Yeah. They scored a lot and conceded a lot. And that's fine at Bournemouth. Is it fine at Liverpool?
To be honest, in pre-season, I've been actually quite impressed at how well they've controlled games when they've had their starting 11 on the pitch. So, yeah, I think they probably will do. The big question then is, how much does that impact your ability to generate dangerous chances, right? Because if your whole attack is based around intensity, directness, and then suddenly you're right now we have to stop doing that. How do you then create those moments? But I've just made a video that's coming out tomorrow, I think, looking at this problem of control with Iraola, and I think there's two sides to it, right? It's out of possession control is hard when you're having to constantly defend intensely, but then in possession control is hard when you're relying on your directness and intensity to create. But I do think there are solutions there, and there was, I think if you look at Iraola's career at Bournemouth, you can see him making these changes season on season. So I think they got better. So for example, in his first season, they're pushing 40% possession. By the end, they've pushed over into 50% for the first time. At Liverpool, they've been 60% possession this pre-season. So I think, again, he does have the ability to do that. But I do hear the criticism that sometimes it feels a bit too plan A. And then, plan B is do plan A, but better.
I believe he can do well. Yeah. I absolutely believe that. But it'd be interesting to see how he does it with this team. Yeah. And if the players can sort of buy in or find a sort of like halfway position between, say, what Iraola wants when his deeper tendencies are there versus what the players have been used to for the years that they've been successful.
Can he be Jurgen Klopp is basically the question. Right? That's the question.
Yeah.
And Jurgen Klopp, once he'd figured out control as well, because there was a Jurgen Klopp that was exactly what you're saying.
But I think even with Jurgen Klopp, it's important to make the point that even when he introduced that control, he was still Jurgen Klopp. They were still doing the direct stuff. They just found a way of making it work.
Who else was on your list?
Alonso, I think that's just going to be good.
Fun,
and Roberto De Zerbi, because he's just an innovator. He's different, and
they've got the whole week, haven't they? Both of them. That's the big one.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like there's no excuse really.
Yeah.
Like if you're these great minds, which they are, and they're so big on detail, which they seem to be.
Who do you think is the greater mind?
You got to go De Zerbi right now, I think.
Yeah, because I feel like with Alonso, again, I have this like real deep belief in him, and it's off what happened in Germany. It's not what happened in Real Madrid, and he's got no experience in the Premier League.
He wasn't.
I don't think
he was awful at Real Madrid though.
Well,
I think people carry
him, didn't he?
People carry Alonso the player into their opinions.
Yeah,
Alonso the
that's
manager.
I think that's why I'm hesitating.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because like again, like
Just love
what I love
Alonso.
about say this space here is that like you can have a bias and you can think, oh, maybe I need to discuss this. Yeah. It's Alonso, great, because the way that he plays diagonals. Oh, hang on a second, he's a coach now.
What I want to see with De Zerbi is that he has those principles, but people have not found it out, but they know it wholeheartedly. So
I think they have found, in the sense that like teams now know block out the middle, force them to do something else, and they lose their edge a little bit. They can still do good stuff, but the question is, where does that actually like level out in terms of productivity?
Yeah.
How often are they going to win?
The creativity to have new ideas, I think that's a thing that I'm always incredibly impressed by. Someone like Pep, and sometimes it's going back to tradition, sometimes it's going, and I think Pep was always kind of big on the opposition's weakness. Tell me if I'm wrong. To kind of go and find those new creative ideas.
I think you need the personnel as well, and he's obviously not Pep Guardiola, but a couple of seasons ago I was speaking with Vincent Kompany before they started their domestic season and playing in Europe, so it's his first year. And I was talking to him about what his tactics is going to be and so on. And he didn't say too much. But what he said was that he's planning so that he can find a solution to every different way a team will try and press them, every different way a team will try and play against them. And he obviously buy and have their identity and so on. But say, for example, because you made a great point, like with De Zerbi, like he's excellent in the middle. So you like force it wide. Similar thing, United did that against City in the FA Cup final like 3 years ago. Same thing, forced them wide. It wasn't the same. But when a manager is thinking, well, they might force us wide, well, this is the slight tweak that we have now. Like, is it wingers that come inside? Is it wingers that stay high? Is it someone stepping into midfield? Is it this? Is it that? I think if De Zerbi is as good as potentially could be, then he's making adjustments. Because if this version of De Zerbi is the same as the old version of De Zerbi, then people will immediately find ways to stop them.
And he's already been making those adjustments. Like if you watch his Marseille team last season, they were having to build down the wide areas and they were finding ways of making that work. And I think the best managers are just the managers who can, you've used the word bias a lot in this, which I think is very honest of you, because I think a lot of us don't like to admit that we have biases. But the hardest thing in the world is to be like, okay, I'm going to change my biases. I'm going to change my priors and be like, this was what was so interesting for Guardiola, right? Is that for 15 years, his priors were just, they won. He dominated. He solved football for a period when the conditions stayed the same. The hardest thing for him to do is to then be like, this no longer works. This approach that has had so much success for me doesn't work anymore. I've got to think of different ways to do it. That's the hardest thing to do as a coach. I think, again, all of the coaches on this list that I've mentioned, Arteta, Iraola, Alonso and Roberto De Zerbi, their success or failure in the long run is going to be determined by how good they are at reassessing their priors and saying, I need to shift, I need to change.
For sure. And I think that's a big difference in my mind between, say, some of the younger managers and some of the older ones. Because some of the older ones now, they're kind of like your grandma on Facebook, you know what I mean? Still reading that source of information, whereas some of the younger ones, you might look elsewhere, spread things out a little bit, getting a sort of wider thought about what you're trying to achieve.
Okay. So I managed to watch, I think, PSG, I was just going to chuck in there as well, because I just think it's a tough job. I do think that's a tough job for him. So, I mean, and he obviously did well at Lens. Can you transfer that? I'm intrigued to see the differences between him and Glasner, because I think he does that. He's a little bit more open. Will that work? We'll see. But I think Roberto De Zerbi is actually the answer. I think you're right. Because also I think there's a lot of Tottenham scar tissue knocking about as well. Like, it's you don't just start winning, but I think the players that they brought in are interesting as well, because I think I don't think they get bullied like they have before. If you think of like Romero coming out of it, for example, or even like a Vicario who's just sort of quite shouty, You've brought in like Robertson, Tonali, even Fernandes. I think he's got that. He's kind of got that Declan Rice vibe about him at times. Who else have they brought in? Senesi, just like some like meat there.
Van Hecker as well.
Van Hecker.
Van Hecker, yeah.
As well,
Not going to get bullied. They're not going to be soft.
They're going to be playing a lot of progressive passes from the back line as well. Yeah, so it's pretty safe.
Boys, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. Can I just quickly throw a couple of bizarre predictions?
Yes.
Very simple answer. Are you having it or are you not having it? Okay, here we go. Harrison says, Hull set the Premier League record for draws.
Not having that.
Yeah, no.
Tim Kolenko, the Premier League record for goals in one match is broken by 2 mid-table teams.
No, but I think this season it'd be the first time in just over 11 years where somebody scored 5 goals in a game. Or we possibly bring in, as in an individual player.
Oh, nice.
Or possibly even, let's make it a double hat-trick, what do you reckon?
Come on. Double hat-trick.
Never been done.
Crazy.
Never been done.
That's
Never been
nice.
done. 5 has been scored 5 times, but never a double
Number
hat-trick.
6. Haaland, isn't it? Surely. Or maybe Emerson. Emerson for Ipswich.
Could you imagine? Yeah.
That would be amazing.
I would take that one, by the way, if it was 2 top-level sides break the goals.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the way.
Liverpool, Bournemouth. There's an option. There's an opportunity there.
What about Liverpool, Spurs? I could see that becoming quite end-to-end.
What else we got? Both teams that won European silverware last season struggle this season and don't. That's boring. Hang on. Sunderland, Joshua Abel. Sunderland get relegated but win the Europa League.
No.
Former player.
I just don't see Sunderland getting relegated.
Okay.
With the players that they have right now, I don't see it. Vibes are too good as well.
Florian Wirtz, this is Zahn, talks footy. Florian Wirtz will finish the season as Liverpool's Player of the Year.
I can believe that.
You having it?
Yeah, I could believe that.
Who are his challenges?
Depends how bad. Do you know, every team has this. If Liverpool have an incredible season, there's no way Szoboszlai can be Player of the Year.
Yes.
If they have a bad season, he will likely be the player.
I think he's going to cook in that system, though.
Yeah,
no?
yeah.
He's just, I don't know, he's going to run around and do a lot. And
be a bit deeper, wouldn't it? It feels like he's going to be the same.
If he has a good season, it means he's got loads of goals and assists, and it will just look like delightful. You know what I mean?
It makes you wonder if no one else has. That would be my only issue. Jamie Mackey was that for QPR, just say.
More QPR law.
Yeah.
Podcast will never die.
Gildia LFC, the team top at Christmas fails to finish top 4 whilst the team bottom at Christmas stays up. Do you see chaos in the league this year?
Not like that.
No.
I as not to be. Well, in fact, let me balance this out. I don't know if it's negative or positive, but I thought last year's season was a really weird season. I don't think it overall is a great Premier League season because I'm somebody that believes that I judge the season based on how like the top end are doing, relatively speaking. That's how I do it. Obviously, some people could think otherwise because you're trying to think like the middle class, like how they're doing.
I'm kind of more. I lean to that.
Yeah,
actually.
But realistically, for me, like Spurs and them are not going to be down near the bottom again. I don't believe, and I think United and other teams will. Like Chelsea aren't going to be 12th again. You know, so it means that the top is going to be the top, and as a consequence, the spread of points isn't going to be what I think some people saw last year.
The table could be incredibly boring. With everyone kind of where they probably should be.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be like 5 teams involved in a relegation dogfight. There'll be 2, maybe 3 teams going for a title charge, and then there'll be 3 or 4 teams going for the European places, and then that middle section, which will be the middle section. But I don't see the team up near the top fighting for the title dropping out of the Champions League. And the team that's like near the bottom, they could always find an escape because we've seen that firsthand, unfortunately. But
okay, Will Parks, John, only around 10 points separate 7th to 17th. Are you having it?
Yep.
Good. Liverpool don't keep a clean sheet until January.
No chance.
Are you having it?
No chance. No
chance.
chance.
There'll be a clean sheet.
Yeah, without question. I think by then they'll probably have like 5.
Okay.
Oof. That's a hot take the other way.
Do you know it isn't? It isn't. It's just like them playing. There will be a few teams that are still very much like staring at the lights when they go to Anfield, you know, especially under the new manager with positive vibes. Like it will affect them. It will affect them. And as far as like clean sheets go as well, sometimes it's down to good defending, sometimes good fortune and poor finishing. And I think there'll be enough poor finishes in the league to allow Liverpool to have some clean sheets.
Okay. We'll pause it there. I'll leave you all with this. First of all, get the book. Get the fucking book. All right?
That's aggressive.
Buy the fucking book.
I support this message.
Exactly. Yeah.
This man makes you sound good down the pub. Buy the book. Okay, links in description. John, thank you.
Thank you
got
so
a book?
much.
I've got a book. You don't need to
bring it next time.
I'm going to read on this one.
I'll leave you with this. Queen's Park Rangers of a league. Come on. Come on. We're back next week. Speak soon. All the best. Come on, you ask.